Let me just make sure everything looks good. Everything looks like it's streaming. I believe it is. Instagram, yeah, that's not working. That's okay. We knew it wouldn't be. Just waiting on LinkedIn to give us their... Yep, okay, we are good. All right, here we go. Okay, where's your info? There we go. Okay, today on the show, we have Trish Arcaro with Next Home Experience in Maine. Let me tell you more about Trish. Now, Trish Arcaro is Maine's holistic realtor and industry healer. Her unorthodox approach to real estate is rooted in holistic principles, which means she takes a look at your life and helps you manifest a home that aligns with your values, your aspirations, and your lifestyle. It doesn't matter if you're a first-time home buyer or seasoned seller, Trish will guide you through the process with compassion, care, and expertise. Visit Trish at her website, which is trisharcaro.mynexthomeexperience.com. We will have a link to that in the show notes. And also, please follow her on Instagram. She is at Holistic Real Estate Pro. Again, Holistic Real Estate Pro on Instagram. Link to that as well in the show notes. Trish, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, DJ Paris. This is amazing.
We were both just laughing because Trish's last name is Italian, and she goes, "I'm not really Italian." And I said, "Well, my last name is Paris, and I'm not French, so go figure." But I'm glad we're talking to two
Yes.
people with unusual last
Yes.
names that don't match their ethnicities.
Yes.
But tell us, I would love to learn a little bit more about you and expose our audience to your sort of way of doing business. I'm
Yeah.
really excited to chat with you. I've been I love the fact that I think in real estate, a lot of times people don't have enough fun in the sense of with the things that may be thought to be not as aligned with real estate. So in real estate, we like to think like, oh, the headshot needs to look perfect. I need to be sort of more conservative and buttoned up and just, a more sort of traditional business stuffy kind of approach. And you are like, no, my authentic self is I am into some interesting, cool things that are important to me, and I'm going to embed that into my business. And I just love that. So nobody probably knows what we're talking about. So I'm excited to get to that. But before we get to what you're doing today, I want to hear about how you got started. So tell us how you got into real estate.
So back in 2003 and 4, I was working as a receptionist for a salon, and there was a hairstylist there that does mortgages on the side. And I was like, how do you manage yourself doing mortgages and doing hair at the same time? I just don't even know how she did it. But, that seed was planted in my head. I was like, oh, maybe I should try it in California. This was when I was in California. Fast forwarded to 2014, I just jumped right in. There was an opportunity to be a marketing manager for a team for a real estate agency that I first started out in. And I grew with them. And then somehow, and it's so weird because the universe just kind of aligns you and connects with you, puts you in the right place at the right time. So the team that I was working for or working with, their family lives around the block from my parents' house in Los Angeles. It is so crazy. I've never met them. Yeah, never met them in my life before until I moved to Maine. And then they had California ties, Los Angeles ties, and so happens that they lived around the block from my parents' house. It's so weird. So weird. And now we've become really good friends, and I've learned so much from starting out as a team member and then developing my own brand successfully on my own since I've left the team.
So how did you go from West Coast to East Coast? You made a huge shift there.
That was a quantum leap for me. So when we literally decided to move from California to Maine, my husband and I were like, we don't want to raise our kids out here. We don't, in LA. I wanted something different. So we decided to move closer to his family here. And I dropped everything to pick up and then move, really. And then I started real estate maybe 6 months to 8 months later. And I just went on a limb. I barely had any there, like nothing.
Sure. Well, I always, there's something about Yeah, there's something about the idea of sort of having to make it work. Like for people that are,
Mm-hmm.
there's like the gift, they call it like the gift of desperation in a sense. And I'm not saying you were desperate. I'm
Yeah.
saying not having
Yeah.
a safety net is definitely like a huge
No.
risk. And but I always find that
Yeah.
in some ways, like it sort of forces people to get really, really, sort of in line with their goals, and then they can,
Yeah.
when there's no other option, it's a lot of times you just figure out a way to make it work.
Yeah. It was very, scary. When I feel like it's the right thing to do and there's something better on the other side once I get through this, past this fear. And so, moving from Los Angeles to Maine just was the best decision for the whole entire family. My mom and dad bought a house out here, followed me and their
Wow.
grandkids out here yeah. So they have two properties, one in LA and then one here in Maine that I manage. Me and my husband take care of while they're gone and they go back and forth. So, I mean, it's a whole win-win situation for all. You know what I mean? It's all for the highest good. So it's for my family and my parents.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's
It was really
amazing,
good.
and the culture is very different, right? So you were like Southern California, and then you moved to sort of, mid to northern
Hmm.
parts of Maine, and, people are
Yeah,
different, values are different,
so
everything's different.
different. Everything was different. But the one thing I can say about Mainers out here, they're so welcoming, so
Yeah.
friendly. I stuck out, obviously, for, coming from a
You're the
LA girl
West
from
Coast
Palm Trees to
granola
Pine.
girl, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I was like, coming from palm trees to beach to sandy,
Yeah,
tan all the time to like pine trees and snow.
yeah.
And then not experiencing. I mean, there's a lot is that I've since living here in Maine, and I would never change. And like I said, it was just the best decision, best quantum leap decision that I've ever made in my whole entire life so far. So
Oh,
that
that's
was like,
wonderful,
ugh,
I love that.
yeah,
And now you get to see the colors change, you get to see the seasons, you
yep,
get to eat a lot of lobster.
mm-hmm.
There are some
It's more,
benefits to living in
yes,
Maine. You're by the
mm-hmm,
mountains, you're by
mm-hmm,
the
mm-hmm.
water. Oh, just everything.
Yeah,
It's such
it's
a neat
everything.
place. By the way, for anyone that has not seen the colors change in the Northeast, starting around like September, October-ish, if you've never
Yes,
done that, I had a friend who, I mean, it was one of those things that people told me for years, you got to see the colors change. And I was like, yeah, 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 whatever.
yeah,
And then finally I had a friend in Boston and she goes, "You've never seen the colors change?" And I've been to almost all the states, not all of them, but there's like 5 or 6 I hadn't been to at that time. And those happen to be like New Hampshire, Vermont, and Maine, where I still haven't been to Vermont, but New Hampshire and
mm-hmm,
Maine I had never been to. And she's like, "Oh, perfect. Fly into Boston and drive up." And I
yeah.
legitimately was just the whole entire weekend or however long I was there,
You're just like,
I was just constantly ping pong. My eyes were like, I have never seen
yeah,
neon colored leaves. I had never seen like that color
yeah,
yellow or green or red or orange. It's just
hmm,
exquisite. And we're so lucky to have that in this country. And anyway, that's
yeah.
my little go to Maine and go see the colors
Yeah,
change
I
at
go to
some point.
Maine. They actually have a map of, like, the levels of bright
Oh,
like,
I
of
know.
the the state changes, they have the
Yeah.
levels of the colors, like, "Well, you should be here, this is the highest," like, you can
Yeah.
see the colors, and then it goes down, 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 and then it's just so rad to see how
Oh,
our state
it
just changes
it
from one thing to another.
well, it is funny because it's kind of a small window, and no
Mhm.
one's ever exactly sure when it's gonna hit the exact, like, until
No.
you get
Yeah.
really close to it, and then by then, like,
Yeah.
everything books up, so you have to sort of make a somewhat of a guess, like, in the summertime or
Yeah.
whatever, but so we were on all those sites, and oh my gosh, I
Mhm.
just such a beautiful part of the country. So tell us a little bit, so you moved West Coast to Northeast, and
Yep.
then you had to start over. So I want to hear
Mhm.
what it was like to start over in a new state where you're not from, no sphere of influence really.
Yeah.
So
Nothing.
how did you build?
So, I didn't put it into, like, perspective until I started really thinking about it. Like, you start thinking about your past and how you did it. I was like, "Well, I really just took, like, 3 steps, and which is the manifestation process, and it's really just really getting clear on who I wanna be around with, getting clear on my vision and who I want to serve, and surrounding myself with those kinds of people, and gaining so much information. And that's why joining a team was so valuable to me, because I had mentors that I can like go to every time. And, it's just for me, it was more about there's a goal. I want to serve people. I want to be able to dive myself into this community because this is where I'm setting my roots. So I might as well just embody myself as a real estate agent at that time. And then taking step number two would be taking those action steps. So doing the classes, going out and meeting different people, attaining leads, lead generation, doing whatever I have to do as a real estate agent during that time. I did that. And then number three is just being open to receiving whatever is meant for me. So whether it's the commission checks, whether it's the actual clients that you attract, and you become lifelong friends with them, and you start developing this brand. And I didn't really be wasn't really in tune with myself then when I was on a team, because I was representing a brand for someone else. It was not
Sure.
my brand. But now that I'm by myself and, part of a culture here at Next Home Experience, is just pretty much rocket launched me to where I am today. So those steps in my
Wow.
beginning days were so vital. So I knew I had to know what I needed to do, and then kind of just, elaborated and collaborated with other partners in the industry to help me become who I am today.
I love that, and it's really apt. It's really apt. I was this you'll appreciate, or you'll probably find this interesting. So
Mhm,
last night I was going to just listen to some sort of more of just entertainment style
mhm,
podcast in the evening while I
mhm,
was relaxing, and a friend of mine said, "You really should. I think you'd find this interesting. There's a podcast by Sam Harris, who's more of like a sort of a philosopher, but not
mhm.
really. He's just kind of a deep thinker, and some people like him, some people don't. I'm not here
Yeah.
to say whether you should listen to him or not. But anyway, he did a 45-minute piece of about free will. And what was interesting was he was like, he doesn't believe in free will, which is really interesting. And then he makes this case for why we don't actually have free will. And he's able to make that case pretty
Yeah.
logically. And so
Yeah.
what's interesting is he says it's not that you don't have some semblance of control over parts of your life. Of course you do.
Right.
But for the overall sort of part of your life, really things just kind of happen to you. And
Yeah.
then it's about what you do with what happens.
Mhm.
Like it's like things are just going to happen, good things, bad things, and then it's about what you make of those things.
Yep.
And but he also said about getting clear with intention starts to sort of set in motion, this idea of attraction, and not in like a
Yeah.
woo-woo-y kind of like metaphysical way, but he's like, no, it actually activates, certain parts of the brain that then start to look for those things. So this
Yeah.
idea of getting really clear about what you want, step one, is really important. And by the way, it's what every consultant does when they first
Yeah.
go to talk to somebody. They're like, okay, tell me what you're what do you want here? What's the problems? What are you looking for? Let's
Mhm.
get clear about that first, and then let's figure out how to get you, those next few steps. So you're absolutely right. It's like figure out what you want, then take the steps necessary, and then the hardest part, maybe for a lot of people, is being willing to receive. I think.
Yeah.
I know that
Or
it seems like that would be the easiest step, but for me, I think that would be the hardest part for me,
you
honestly.
think so? For
Yeah,
me, it's totally opposite. So like it's I'd be happy to open to like I'm open to receiving whatever's meant for me. Like I've
sure.
accepted that. The hardest thing for me is the how, and the when is when I think most of my clients have a hard time with, is just, like, when is this going to happen? Like, how am I going
Yeah.
to get? I was like,
Hurry
you
up and
can't,
wait.
yeah, it's like you can't choke hold the universe in that sense where you're like,
You
okay,
can
you want this.
try.
Yeah, you can try, but it's not going to happen. The outcome is not what you want or what you think you want. So it's just, you know, again, releasing that control piece and like just letting it flow. And that's what I did to build my business now, was like, okay, I got really clear. My action was I hired, two different coaches, like for me to
Smart.
do like self-development, get in with my inner child, do all that
Yeah.
like shadow work, all of those things, and then
Good.
applying it to my business. And, for personal reasons, I doing it for it. But then I was like, why can't I just put it into my business. Like, why can't I just infuse it? And then somehow one thing led to another. I get connected with a brand strategist who helped me develop the name Holistic Real Estate Pro. Like, and she was aligned with me, like-minded, all of these things. It just so crazy and how the universe just connects you. And I
Yeah.
truly believe in divine timing, hands down.
Yeah.
Whatever you're doing, whether it's in business or in personal, it's all about divine timing. It'll happen when it happens, and you'll know, and you'll know. Just
And
that's
and
it.
I think too, once you get more, and I'm going through this process myself, is
Mhm.
like starting to make more space for silence and a little bit
Uh-huh.
of alone time where but not alone time where I'm listening to other things or watching other things or just sort of taking time to sort of just allow things to emerge from within.
Right. Right.
And that idea that we have this sort of wealth of creativity and
Mhm.
knowledge and just feelings and
Yeah.
sort of intuition. I know you're really big into intuition, but
Yeah.
and we'll talk. I definitely want to talk about how you apply that in your business.
Yeah.
What I've found with intuition for me is we live in a very noisy world, right? And like
Yeah.
our phones are constantly asking for our attention. They're begging for that
Mhm.
attention. There's a lot of tech companies that, are vying for that space where they want your attention. And if I don't give myself attention, if I don't actually make space for these like thoughts and ideas to emerge, then they're just not going to be heard by my
Right.
conscious mind. So
Mhm.
so this idea about making some time is really important because like again, that's intuition. The signals are there, but if you're not tuned into
Listening.
them,
Yeah.
yeah,
If you're not listening to your heart or looking at the signs, there's so many signs that people just miss. And I just think for me, I have to really be in tune with myself and really know that, look beyond my third eye and just
yeah,
make sure that, like, okay, what does my gut tell me? That's my first instinct, is what does your gut tell you? If it's like a hell yes, then hell yes. Then if it's a heck no, no, don't even go
yeah.
there. Or if it's in the
It,
middle, just sit with it a little bit. It's okay to sit if you're still in the
totally.
great. Yeah, I totally get
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So like for me too with intuition, I find that what can be challenging for me is understanding what is real
Mm,
intuition and also what might be anxiety,
yeah.
fear, things that like for example, the most obvious example is when I go to the gym,
Hmm.
which I don't ever want to do, of course, but I do it because it's a good idea. So I go and then I'm literally going to be diving headfirst into like physical pain, right? That's the reason I don't want to do it because it hurts. It's terribly
Hmm.
hard. But of course it is. Everything in life that's worthwhile is hard. So no, but I don't like it. But I like the way I feel when it's over. But my
Yes.
point is sometimes I'm just like, oh, I don't want to go. And I'm like,
Mm,
well, okay, and that's fine. Of course I don't want to go. It's painful. That makes sense. But is that really my intuition? Is that my wisest self? Or is that just a little fear part of me that's just doesn't want
yeah.
to, do heavy weightlifting? Of course.
Yeah.
And then I go, oh, that's actually just anxiety. And then the wisest part of me says, it's okay, you can be anxious, but go anyway. And that's really my intuition, right? So it's
Hmm.
idea of developing that sort of understanding of intuition versus, oh, this is like a fear that I have that, I've had since I was a child or something. Like, okay, it's okay to have both. And and
Yeah.
and so I'm curious on how you utilize. Oh, I wanted to ask you a question about
Yeah.
intuition.
Yeah.
So what is the hit rate or the success rate that you found with your intuition? In other words, how often is it, would you say, correct or right versus, oh, I followed my gut there and it just didn't lead me in the right path? Like, what's the percentage of sort of, outcome that you wanted versus outcome that you're like, oh, nope, I got that one wrong?
80%.
A pretty great rate there,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
80% is
80%,
pretty
20%,
amazing.
I'm like, "Why I should have just not done that." Yeah. No,
Right.
80%.
Well, nothing's perfect, but like
No.
80% is pretty close.
Mhm, it's really close, and I look back, I was like, oh. And I write down everything. Like, I
Smart.
write down and I try to the goals that I want, an outcome that I want, that I desire, like a clear to close. And I know I'm, like, right there, but I was like, "Oh, there's something that is," I'm preparing for the best, obviously, and what's that phrase? expect the worst, or one
Yeah,
of those.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Prepare for the worst. Expect.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
bet
yeah, yeah.
that.
Expect the yeah.
And so, but there are things where just the universe just like, oh no, we have this thing to deal with. I'm like, shit. I was like, where can we not, be like that anymore? So it's just 80% of the time, I'm always right. My intuition, my gut
I
is
love
always
that,
right. Yeah.
and
And
it
20%
probably
is just,
helps. It probably you probably see yourself in some ways, and I know you do a tremendous amount of action, so I'm not suggesting
mm-hmm,
that you just
mm-hmm.
kind of let things come to you because, of course, life just doesn't work that way for
No.
most of us.
Yeah.
Maybe if we're really lucky, I guess, but
Yeah.
most of us aren't that lucky.
Yeah.
So this idea of sort of being this almost like a leaf on a river, just kind of
Yeah.
I'm paying attention, I'm doing things, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
also not the river. I'm just going to let the river take me, and I'm going
Yeah.
to pay attention. I'm going to take action when I need to, but I sort of suspect that reduces a lot of fear and anxiety that you might have going, this is all going to work. Like everything's going to work
Mm-hmm.
out. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
going to fight against what is, right? It's that like what is like what is I'm on a river and and I'm going to just let the river take me and I'm going to pay attention and make changes when I need to. But I suspect you sort of see yourself a bit that
Yes.
way.
So the phrase I love, and it's from a song, is everything is as it should be.
Yeah.
That's it. Everything is as it should be. Every time my buyers or sellers are like, "Oh, I'm just so anxious that you know what? Everything is as it should be right now. It is fine. We are if this house was meant for you, we would have gotten it. If it wasn't, it's not. And if it is, it is. And if
Yeah.
not, it's not. You gotta accept that, and that's okay. It can't, And yes, this we all know this market is crazy, and people are not manifesting their house, or they're not getting the house that they want, or they put so many offers in. And so that fear and that discouragement, this is where I come in and be like, nope, I am positive. We're going to find something. Like my enthusiasm,
Yeah.
my glow, my vibe really keeps them together. And I pep them up, and just making sure that things are supposed to be like this. Things are supposed
Right.
to You're supposed to experience these things before you get to this, your goal. Like before you attain this goal, you need to experience certain things, rejection, fear, all of these things, but yet still have an open heart to receiving whatever is meant for you. You know.
That it sounds sort of like some of the language that you're using sounds sort of subtle or maybe wordplay in a sense,
Yeah.
but it isn't because I know that I get calmed down a lot when um like if something happens and somebody's
Mhm.
wise enough in the group, if I'm in a group
Mhm.
that says, don't worry, this probably just wasn't meant to be, but don't worry, like things are going to work out.
Yeah.
And if I trust that person, then
Mhm.
well, usually the person ends up being right. I found that to be the case. Like
Yeah.
maybe something, well, it's that old joke.
Yeah.
This is my favorite joke of all time, and it's not a religious joke, so I apologize for anyone that
It's
might
okay.
take this as like a religious thing. Trust me, it's not, or at least not the way I think about it. But it's a really simple joke. I think it's the truest thing ever. It's called "We make plans, God laughs." Right, which
Yeah.
I love that because like what's
Mhm.
more true than that? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
we go for something and it just that's not what the
No, what
universe
you want?
or
No.
whatever wanted, and it's okay because there's going
Yeah.
to be something else
It's
that
it's
does
this
maybe
or
even
something
better.
better. Yeah,
Yeah.
this or something better, and that's what it is. Like, today, one of my clients, we put an offer in, and she was like, "We put it in 2 days ago, and there's like 16 offers on this," and it
Oh my
was
gosh.
yeah, and I was like, "It's this or something better." Honestly,
Yeah.
it's this or something better, and if it's not, then we just move on to something else that, it may come back around. You just never know. The universe is so funny that way, where, you could become a backup offer and you end up with the house. You just never know.
I am so impressed by that phrase, this or something better. And it's not just a cute thing to say to
Mhm.
placate the client. It's actually what you believe.
Yeah,
Because it's what you believe, it doesn't come off as a cute little slogan or something that they
right.
tell you to say in sales school
Nah,
or whatever. It's literally what you believe at your
yeah.
deepest part of you because you
Mhm.
apply those same principles yourself.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so if I have somebody who's congruent with their words and their beliefs and their actions, where I know they're not just giving me a line that they, knew
Yeah.
this will help placate the me. If I'm like, if I trust that person, I'm like, you just made this disappointment slightly easier for me,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I trust that you know what you're doing. And
Mhm.
if you're confident about it, then I'm going to be like, okay, good.
Yeah.
It's not so
It's
terrible. Yeah.
your vibration, your energy that you put out there in front of your client or who your friend or whoever. They feed off of that. And a lot of well, for me, my energy is so loud, and so, I attract these they're all my clients the way I want them to, like the type of client that I want, I attract those. And so they feed off of my energy, and they tell me time and time again, you have this calming aura about yourself. You have this
Yes.
positivity where I feel down, and all of a sudden you just come up and have me look again and see and be like, okay, this is not the end of the road. We're just, you know, one day at a time, one showing at a time kind of thing. This journey is just not always going to be perfect. It's going to be perfect for you and how you
Yes.
experience it. So,
Well, almost nothing in life is linear anyway, right? Like
no.
almost everything goes up and down, wild
Yeah.
swings, peaks and
Yeah.
valleys,
Yeah.
heartbreak and love and
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
everything in between, death, birth. I mean,
Yeah.
truly difficult and wonderful things happen to us, which are going to happen to us anyway. And
Yeah.
this idea of not fighting the current that's already taking you
Mhm.
it's a lifetime of practice. I am not good at it. I try to control every area of my life
I'm
because
still
that's
working
the
on it.
human condition.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a constant work within yourself, especially for me and my line of business and my brand. It's like I'm constantly working on myself every day to make someone else's day, feel
yeah,
good. And that's the goal for me, is just to serve these families in my community and to help them achieve their goal. So their success is my success in that sense. And so I wouldn't be here without, the help and support and love from my clients and my friends and family. I just decided to embody myself as this and just let go and forget the fear of what people might think. And I think that's what people drew to me, is because I don't care what people think of me, especially in this market. Like in this, I'm not your typical agent in that sense. Like it's like I said, it's like unorthodox approach to real estate. And it's something that stands out, and people are curious of what I do. And that's how I attract these clients. Are like, oh, you're like me, you think, you sound, you do things that I like to. You love crystals, you love manifestation, law of attraction, you love
sure.
all that. I'm like, sure, come talk to me, I'll talk about it all day long with you, whether if
And
it's a house, about houses or not, I'll talk about it. Yeah.
well, and you're attracting people who are into that, and
Mhm.
and so
Mhm.
as a result, you're not having to even convince them that you're this
No.
professional that has kind of a I don't want to say quirky because that has a negative connotation.
Yeah.
You're not quirky in any way, but
Yeah.
you have this more unorthodox sort of style,
Yeah.
which really at
Yeah.
the end of the day you don't, because you're a hardworking realtor and you're
Mhm.
working,
Yeah.
into the, you're working hard, but at the same time you're also like, hey, I'm not going to be pushing against what is.
Right.
I'm going to just be guiding you to what, what we
Mhm.
think is what, your next home. And
Yeah.
if things don't work out, don't worry. We're boy, it's
It's
very calming, I would say. It's
Yeah,
very
and that's where
comforting.
that's what a lot of people have, the reviews I get. They're like, "You're so calming, and you're just there to," if I call you frustrated, or I'm like, I'm like a psychologist coach, like everything that if they wanna dump on me, and that'll filter out the noise, and I know they're coming from a place of desperation, a place of lack,
Sure.
fear, all of those things, and just somehow just let them sit in it. And I'll tell them, sit in that.
Yeah.
It's okay. Sleep on
Yeah.
that. Call me tomorrow. See how you. Oh, I just needed just to
Of course.
dump that on you. I'm like, it's fine.
Yeah.
and
I mean,
and then again, yeah.
people need to get things out.
Hmm. Hmm. And then for myself, for me to digest all that, to because I absorb a lot of energy from other
Sure.
people. And so for me, I do my modalities. I'll just meditate for a little bit, do a tarot reading for myself, write in my journal, and just remember that, Trish, you are manifesting and attracting like minded individuals, whether they're on the same level as you, or there might be, there's a little struggle, there's a little anxiety, there's a little fear, but you are here to help them and guide them. Their reason to move forward. Not me
Yeah.
necessarily the reason, but like I'm part of their, a huge part of their journey. So
Yeah.
I just kind of remember like what I do every time I
And
remind myself, who am I serving?
you
And these
also
other people.
you take that responsibility very seriously, I can
Hmm.
tell. And
Hmm.
that's an important thing. Like whatever somebody's authentic self is that they want to bring into their real estate practice, they have to really be find the courage to sort of say, this is who I am, this is what
Hmm.
I'm about, here's why I think it serves, you, Mr. and Mrs. Client, or here's why I think
Hmm.
it's important for my business. But at the same time, like, you seem, authenticity seems to be the name, the word I
Yeah.
would put with you, is you really are that person. And as a result, people are attracted, because people are always attracted to authenticity, whatever the
Yeah.
authentic self is.
Yeah, whatever it is. I mean, you can have a different niche, different brand, or whatever you do. And even other realtors ask me, like, how did you like manage to niche down to this? I was like, it's really a lot of, it is a lot of work. It's a lot of self-development. And this was in the making, years to come. And I didn't do this at the drop of a hat. Like I didn't do this overnight. This was like years in the making to actually deciding to come out like this, as, especially in an industry that is so traditional.
Yeah.
And for me to come out like as a holistic realtor, and there are many people out there that practice holistic real estate, just like me or a little bit different than me. But for me to be actually naming myself and becoming it, Maine's holistic realtor and an industry healer, like that took a lot for me to just say out there and just put it out there. And, not hope for the best, but I'm just, it's a risk for me. You know what I
For
mean? Like
sure.
maybe people won't like that. Maybe it's too woo woo. Maybe it's too new
Sure.
agey. But there's so many people that deep down inside, they do practice some of these things that I do.
Of
I just
course.
say it out loud. That's it.
Yeah. But
So,
the courage to say it out loud, I think, is the secret sauce, right? Like,
mhm.
it's like, I don't have to hide this part of me. I don't have to pretend that I'm
Yeah.
not this way. And you're not so different really than most of us. You
Yeah.
just talk about the things that most of us just read about
Yeah,
and
just read
don't talk
about I
about.
just talk about it. Yeah, and people seem to be really receptive, and even colleagues are like, "Trish, how do I manifest this?" I go, "You're manifesting every day."
Right.
That's your thoughts create your
Whether you
reality,
like
and
it or not,
yeah,
you're
yeah,
manifesting.
exactly, and then,
So
if
so
you have
yeah,
a
so
thought.
well, and that's why, if somebody accepts that premise that well, maybe we'll call it co-creating, like there's
Co-creators, right?
this
Yes.
universe, and they're creating, and we're sort of
Yeah.
part of the creation process. Then if that's the case, then you start to get really careful, or at least aware of what you are bringing, what you are
Mhm.
thinking about, where you are putting your attention, because there's a lot of ways where especially right now with the market the way it is, we could easily be putting a tremendous amount of our energy, and attention into higher interest rates that our clients
Mhm.
don't love, lower, less inventory for opportunities there. It's there's a lot to feel crappy about if you want to. I
Yeah.
mean, there's
Yeah.
plenty of reasons,
Yeah.
and that's okay to acknowledge that. It's like, you don't want to say, well, there's no weeds in my garden. Obviously, you want to take the weeds out, but at
Yeah.
the same time, you don't want to over focus on those weeds and miss some of the beauty that's going on at the
Yeah.
same time.
Mhm. Mhm. And, a unique thing that I have my clients do, I had my current client right now, because we're searching and still looking and still like doing things, because we lost out on like a couple of deals, and I was like, listen, we have to do something different. So I want you to do this assignment. And this assignment is write a gratitude letter to your house that you're living in right now. Even if you don't own it, but it's a house that you're living under the roof of, it's giving you shelter, a just write out your gratitude on paper. See what comes up for you, and see how it's, giving you shelter through cold and, keeping you warm, you have a place to sleep, like all the things that, that you can think of. Give gratitude to your space and see what happens. And I think that really opens up everyone's minds and just
It does.
really like kind of like, okay, now I have respect for what I have now. And now the universe can like open opportunities for me to be like, okay,
Yes.
yeah, here we go. Like here's some listings that we can probably look at. Here's some, maybe your interest rate changed. You know what I mean? There's so many
Right.
different things. If you don't show gratitude right now for what you have, how is the universe going to give you something better? Than
Yeah, I could not agree more. I think gratitude is just a great way to sort of flip the mindset as
Mhm.
quickly. It's the quickest way I know to get out of distress.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with acknowledging distress. Of
Right.
course, like of course we
Right.
need to acknowledge bad things that happen. But at the same time, this idea of going, hey, in a year, will I have found my perfect place? Like at worst case scenario, it's like getting fired from a job. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
devastating at the time. Oh my god,
Yeah.
my world's over. I don't know what I'm going to do. And then a year from now, you're usually in a better job with a better
Mhm.
position.
Mhm.
And we look back and go, God, why was I so stressed? Well, because the unknown is stressful. So
Yeah.
this idea of acknowledging, okay, right now it's unknown. You've lost a couple deals, but let's sort of think forward. Like once you get
Mhm.
that home, because you're going to get a home, we're going to
Yeah.
get you something.
We're gonna
let's
get you
let's think
something.
about how you're going to feel about that at that time, and let's be appreciative for what you currently have. I don't think that sounds odd at all. Like it's an odd
Mm-mm.
thing for maybe not odd. It's an unusual thing for maybe
Usual.
a realtor to suggest. But
Yeah.
is it? Forget about whether you believe in manifestation or
Yeah. Yeah.
abundance or whatever.
Yeah.
But regardless, just practically, does that change your mindset? Of course it does.
Oh, yeah.
Like if nothing else, you just put them in a better mood
Mood.
for some
Mhm.
some news that they didn't want to hear.
Yeah, and I think it's just also too like for them, for someone that is renting and showing appreciation for their space, but then now it puts them into a mode of like home ownership or like embodying. So I embody this as a main holistic realtor. I want them to embody themselves as a homeowner. So like doing the things what a homeowner would do. Like what would a homeowner do? Get their money mindset straight, like get their financials straight, get check out things that don't serve them anymore and clear your space and just again showing that piece of gratitude and appreciation huge goes a long way, like 100% of the time goes a long way when it comes to anything that you want in your life. And so that's like one simple thing that one person can do is just show gratitude. And but again, the second thing would be just maybe try embodying yourself as a homeowner. Like you just never know once because your thought, once you have that thought in there, now you have to put that into action. What are you going to
Yeah.
do? And you're basically telling your subconscious mind that this is real. Like, okay, consciously, yes, I'm at this reality right now, but subconsciously, I'm going to be here. So I need to bring that out into the real world
I
and
need to figure out
becoming
what I
it.
need to
Yeah,
do to actually
to
get
do
there. Yeah.
that. Yeah. And so you're not mind tricking your subconscious, but your thoughts, as soon as you think about what you want and you know how you're going to get there, or you don't know how to get there, but you're going to take a step anyway, it's your path will lead you to where you're supposed to be.
Well,
And
look, I mean, every professional athlete, or not every professional athlete, but most professional sports
yeah.
teams have psychologists
Hmm.
or coaches that will do visualization
Yeah.
exercises where people can, these top athletes, the people who are
Hmm.
the very most skilled at their profession in the entire world, basically, are also doing these kind of exercises where they're
Hmm.
visualizing their outcome that they want. And they're not all doing it because they're all into new age stuff. They're doing it because it works. And
Yeah.
it works at the highest levels of athletics, which is
Hmm.
a meritocracy. It's all merit based. Like you
Right.
don't
Right.
you don't get into being a professional athlete unless you're really, really good.
Right.
So
Yeah.
so this idea isn't so unusual, really.
No, it's
This
not.
idea of
And
getting clear. Yeah, it's really not
not
airy fairy kind of stuff. It
no,
just
it's
isn't.
not. It's just your typical, you just everyone's doing it and subconsciously or consciously they're doing it. It's just I word it differently and it
Yeah.
means the same thing in that sense. So like, getting really clear on your intentions is a huge thing. Like if you don't know if you're not clear about who you are as a person, or not clear what you want to desire, like what your goal is, then you know you're lost. Like you have to really get that understanding within yourself, and then surround your people to help you understand. If you don't understand, get clear, like use your resources and talk to people. And that you if you want to be in this, you know in a certain category, if you want to get yourself to the next level, you got to talk to those next level people. you know like if you want to have a higher income, talk to those people. That how did they get to that higher income?
Yep.
Or wherever, whatever industry, it doesn't matter if it's real estate, it doesn't matter where, if you're medical, whatever, it's still the same process. Those three-step process is same anyway.
Yeah.
And
And
so
what's great too about talking to those people who are maybe one level above or more is that you find out what their mindset is and what their
mhm,
thoughts and their beliefs and how they react to disappointment.
mhm,
And it's usually a much like whenever I love going to see like concerts. Obviously,
yeah,
I think a lot of us do, but I'm a guy who's been playing guitar my whole life. The reason why I like going to concerts, aside from just listening to the great music, is also not that I ever want to be a professional musician, but it's very inspiring to see somebody who's at that next level and
yeah,
how seriously they take their craft. And as a
mhm,
result, they have the success that I won't have because I'm not willing to put in that kind of effort. But this idea of, we're so lucky in real estate where we get to talk to top realtors. I mean, shows like
mhm,
mine exist that talk to
yeah,
people like you, and and
mhm,
and so, but you're right. It's this idea of figuring out the mindsets of the people that are a little bit further along the path than me, is really could save you a lot of headache along the
yeah,
way.
yeah, and really tuning in with that, like, don't just take it with a grain of salt, like, really, like, take do like, take it away, like really implement it into your life and try. Certain tasks or tips or something from a higher level may not work for you, but at least you tried, and seeing
Yeah,
like, okay, maybe I can tweak that a little bit to, benefit me in that sense, in my brand, in my business. And, like there's so many, we had a next home conference in Houston, and there were so many speakers. And, the president of the National Association of Realtors was there, and this guy is amazing. I don't know. We have the best right now, the president right now in our association ever. And I've learned so much. Just 5 minute speech. It was eye opening for me. And
yeah,
everybody comes from somewhere. Everybody starts from the bottom,
yep,
and they work themselves up. And you're right, if you're willing to put in that energy to get up there, like that's on you. For me, I'm like, I don't want to feel burnout, so I do whatever I feel that is best for me and my family. And that's the thing, like, to me, yes, I am a top producer, but am I like freaking number one in the company? No. I don't. I'm not, because I don't want to be. I want to be able just to serve who I want to serve, and attract the clients that are meant for me, and not feel drowned in overwhelm and just burnout from the real estate hustle. Like that's not what I'm all about. I'm all about calm
yeah,
and flow, and just moving with ease. Like this job shouldn't be hard at all. And it could be stressful, but it's how you respond, right? It's how you respond to
right.
certain reactions, and you control what you can control. And I feel like I've been doing that and tweaking it and working on it every day. But I'm successful so thus far, and I'm so proud to like even just talk about the way I approach real estate, because it's a different thing. It lights me up every time I talk. If someone wants to talk about it, I'll talk about it all day. And it's a passion of mine now. It's turned into something bigger than me.
Well, I'd love to talk about social media. How do you approach social media to be an extension of your authentic self? So I'm curious on the content that you're putting out there. Is just curious on your thoughts on that.
So social media, I'll do like the reels. I'll pick a trending thing, and I'll do a lot of. I'm okay to be in front of camera, so it doesn't really matter to me. I'll invite a lender that who is aligned with me to join on the fun. But I'll share the steps that I take, to becoming successful. So 3 steps to becoming or manifesting your house. So I'll put it in slides. I'll give them the verbiage that I use on a daily basis. And I don't put out the market analysis. I don't put out that stuff. I do that. I have that for myself so I can have the knowledge and expertise on my market. But the numbers and the grids and all that stuff, that's not for me. Like, no. Mine is more of just like being funny, being real, being raw. It's not always sunshines and rainbows, for being in real estate, and or even on the holistic side, it's not always, the
Sure.
woo woo. I'm a
Yeah.
normal human being too. It's just, I just use a lot of my energy and my time to creating content with people that will grasp that, I have, like I said, I partner up with a lender, and she and I do TikToks and reels together that make it funny, and it seems like we're like a married couple, or like, just like a dynamic duo, just doing fun things. And I'll throw in the verbiage of manifestation. I'll do the hashtags, all those things to get it out there, so that way people know about it. And
Yeah.
um, I don't know, if social media is a great platform for me to express more of my to my audience, and joining like podcasts and things like that. Guest speaking is a huge thing for me too. I've been doing it for the past 2 years now, like just guest podcasting and just reaching out to a different audience. And people find me somehow. They're like, I want to move to Maine and I want you. I'm like, oh, where'd you find me? On a podcast or on Instagram? Like it was,
Amazing.
they're not, it's very far few, you know what I mean? But that far few turns out to be really cool. Like I was like, oh,
Yeah.
someone actually was listening to me, or seeing what, holistic real estate is about. Like this is where, if I can make an impact on them somehow to move forward into manifesting a house, that's, I'm like, my job's done in that sense. Like, yes, okay, let's do this. So,
Well, we should also mention before we wrap up that, people do move to Maine from other parts of
mhm,
the country. You did.
yes,
Certainly a lot of your clients have, or
yes,
or sometimes they have vacation homes
mhm,
in the Northeast. And so, for anyone out there who's listening who may have people that are exploring the Northeast for, a vacation home or maybe a
mhm,
move, Trish would love the opportunity to
yes,
work with you. Might as well let's put that out in the universe too. So if
yes,
any
yes,
agent out there and Trish, by the way, has clients that retire, and they don't always retire
mhm,
in Maine. They might go
mhm,
somewhere else like Florida or Texas or
yes,
wherever,
yes.
Arizona or
Most
wherever people go.
mostly Mainers, the snowbirds go to Florida.
Yeah, yeah,
So they go
yeah.
down south. So
So,
yeah, like there's
so does everyone here in Illinois. They all go to Florida. So,
well,
but my point is that, look, this is a referral based business also
mhm,
with agents. And, let's put that out there, that if you're looking for, a good referral partner in Maine, Trish is awesome, and she's
yes,
super well respected. Her clients love her. Obviously, she's a top producer and she's fun. So,
yes,
I mean, if nothing else, she's fun,
yes,
and fun goes a long way in my book, in real estate, because very
for
few people are
sure.
willing to be fun. So
Yeah.
I love that. So if Trish, if there is another agent out there listening who either wants to refer business to you, or maybe wants to, see if you have business for them,
Mhm,
what's
mhm.
the best way that, or by the way, we also, it's not only realtors who listen to us, although I suspect it's
I
99%
think,
realtors, but
think 95% of your listeners are
even if
real
it
estate
is
agents.
somebody who's not an agent, who's maybe thinking about going to Maine, and maybe they want to work with you, what's the best way that anyone who wants to connect with you should get in touch?
I'm usually on my Instagram at Holistic Real Estate Pro, but my website, it'll be in the show notes down there. You can connect me with me there. My number, my bio, everything is on there, all about me.
We'll put
But
it all in there too.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Awesome.
just so, if you want to come to Maine, I'm right here. So
Everybody should
yeah,
go to Maine. I
at
am
least
not
visit,
kidding.
visit, visit, just visit,
Go
see if
in
you
the
like it.
Go in the fall, go see the colors change. I
Mhm.
promise it'll blow your mind. And even
Yeah.
if you've just Google the images, and then when
Mhm.
you see the images on Google, realize that doesn't even do it a lick of justice. Like, it's
No.
so much more intense than that.
Yeah.
It'll blow your mind. And it's really the only part of the country that really has that.
Yeah. There's a
We are so
train
lucky.
actually.
Yeah.
There's a tour train from Boston all the way up. Like, I think there is like they call it Peepers, the Peeper tour. And so it goes all the way up to Maine and then come back down, down to Boston. So there's so many tours and attractions, or, companies out there that will take you on a tour through Mass, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine,
Yeah.
and see everything. I mean, but Maine has, the best lobster, so you can still get lobster during that time. So, and yeah, I mean, yeah, if you guys want to come hang out with me on the Instagram, I'm there all the time.
Find Trish on Instagram at I'm sorry, Holistic Real Estate Pro. So at Instagram, Holistic Real Estate Pro. Also find her on her website, which is trisharcaro.mynexthomeexperience.com. Again, links to all that stuff
Yes.
in the show notes. So Trish, I want to thank you for allowing yourself to reach out to us and be on our show.
Yeah.
We are you manifested this. How
Yes, I
exciting.
did. I guess I did. Again, you were like my
And
first show this year. I was like, I need to manifest myself to be on
and
the
you've done a
show.
lot of shows too.
Yeah,
But
I've
the
done
first one of the year is a big one for me.
this one.
I'm
Yeah,
excited.
I'm so excited
You
to.
are not a newbie to podcasts. So
No, and I'm so excited to be on the show with you, and,
you
like,
by the
thank
way,
you.
you need to have a show. The
Someone
holistic
told me
the
I should do
holistic
that.
realtor, just call it the holistic realtor or something.
Oh
I
my
am
gosh.
telling you, holistic real estate pro, whatever.
Yeah.
I am telling you that would be awesome. You should consider it.
Okay. I'm gonna
One more
probably
thing
message.
to do. Just
Yeah,
another like
just
10
another
hours a
thing
week
to
to
do.
do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just another
you
thing
got
we
tons
should
of
do.
time.
Yeah, for sure.
Just
Maybe
a
I'll message
suggestion. I'm
you.
throwing it out there.
Yeah,
Uh,
that
uh,
has actually crossed my mind, and now it's a sign again.
ah,
I'm like, "Oh, Trish, you should do this." I'm like,
ah,
"Okay." So I think, having my
it all
setup in my office, yeah, I
I
think
could
it's
see you building a giant team, attracting a lot of other agents if that's what you would want. I don't know if you would even
mhm,
want that, but I could see a lot of people being very very much attracted to your mindset, your
yeah,
attitude, the way
mhm,
that you approach, and I think that would be of tremendous service to other agents.
yeah,
Also to your clients, like here's
mhm,
how to process disappointment. Here's how to handle the ups and downs. I think you have a lot of wisdom that you could provide
yeah.
and again, you're doing it to your clients anyway. I just think if you put it, you put it on a podcast, I think it could live forever. So something to think about.
Thank
Anyway,
you. I love that.
well, on behalf of our audience, speaking of our audience, we want to thank Trish for spending a good hour with us. We really appreciate. So, on behalf of everyone, we say thank you, Trish, for your time. We know how busy you are, and it was really a bright spot in my otherwise busy day. I appreciate your
Thank you.
energy and coming onto the show. And then on behalf of Trish and myself, we want to thank the audience as well. Obviously, everyone who has made it to the end of the show, we love you. We appreciate you. Please help us by telling a friend. Think of one other realtor that you know that could benefit from hearing this great conversation with
Mhm.
Trish and send them a link to this episode. Or you could just send them to our website, keepingitrealpod.com. Every episode we've ever done can be streamed live there. If they're not a podcast person, they can stream it from their browser. If they are a podcast person, just have them pull up any podcast app, search for Keeping It Real, and hit that subscribe button. And one last thing, if you want to get extra special credit, 10,000 gold stars, leave us a review. Let us know what you think of the show. This really is important for us. It's not just me begging for reviews so that we get more exposure, although that is great too, but it's really to help us continue to improve the show. So, unless you're going to leave us a 1-star review, then you don't have to do that. But no, I'm teasing. But really, do let us know what you think of the show because I only know what you guys tell me. So please let us know what you would like to see more of, less of, etc. I want to keep making the show better for you. Leave us a review. Let us know what you think. All right, Trish, it was a pleasure. I next time I'm in the Northeast, I am coming to see you
Yes.
because I'm sure I will need an attitude adjustment at that point anyway. And
Yes.
you're going to be my guru while I'm there because
Yes.
and you'll have to show me around. But I absolutely love the Northeast. So everyone go visit and also reach out to Trish. Follow her. Check her out on Instagram, Holistic Real Estate Pro. She does some really cool content on there. Check it out. Trish, thank you so much. And we will see everybody on the next episode.